This morning we used Bridges Sadie. She's a Joe and Razor, and we pinned a group of bulls that came from our co-op herd. I've played with these bulls a couple times before this with Sadie, and this will be her first time to gather this many bulls to me and bring them behind me in the lane to the pens. Pretty nice morning. It got pretty foggy after sunrise, and it stayed pretty nice. Here I'm just seeing what kind of response I got out of these bulls. I haven't been in them in about 3 or 4 days, I guess, as far as just letting Sadie play with them. And she's getting out of place every once in a while, and I'm moving her around back and forth sometimes, and then sometimes she's doing it by herself. And on all sides, there's calves that have been getting weaned. And so right across the fence, there's a group of heifers directly behind these bulls. So I'm just right now, I'm just taking the time to figure out what type of response I'm going to have out of these cattle when I finally send her all the way behind them to bring them to me. I wanted to make sure I'm just not throwing her to the wolves back there. But I know she could handle it. She's a strong dog. A lot of walk-up power, a lot of bite. Got a lot of natural ability to her. Read stock real well. She's getting pretty darn fun to work with. There was a little peck. She's starting to pick up on different jobs that I have for her to do. And learning the ins and out of around the ranch and different pens. Kind of what we expect. So, and I don't keep a whole video, or I didn't even record this whole time as far as just bringing them out of this feedlot deal. I just recorded the first part of it, and then I skipped over when the cattle started moving towards me, and it took some time for her to just bump this group to us because they started kind of getting a little lazy and just kind of slow poking it, which isn't a bad thing, even though we had a pretty nice overcast morning to work in. And like right there, she just kind of got out of place and got in front of that bull and the group that he had to go back to, but she got him put back. It just wasn't the prettiest, and she's starting to figure that out more and more every day, to swing around those cattle and walk into them and push them back. So right here, these bulls, they kind of start easing on, and I think at this point I actually have sent her to the back side. Oh, there she is. But I start sending her deeper and deeper in there, and I guess there's 35 or 40 bulls in this group. They was weaned about 2 weeks ago from our co-op herd, and before they came here, they never seen a dog. And these bulls, we'll sell these bulls as 18-month to 2-year-olds in 2020. So this is kind of what we're working with. We're starting from a foundation, or putting a foundation on these bulls so they know how to be handled properly. So by the time they get ready to start developing and getting closer to the bull sale in 2020, they would be a little easier to handle and just good-natured bulls to be around. And now I've sent her all the way back there. I don't know where she's at. I'm not telling her anything. I'm letting her do it all by herself. Just kind of figuring it out back there. She does. She figures it out and gets them brought to me and does a really good job about it. So here we've got them out on the lane. This is at our still pens. It's all kind of set up kind of like a feedlot. We got lanes or roads basically that lead to all the pens. And so what I like doing is when I get the cattle out on these roads, I like putting a dog behind them, and if I'm on a four-wheeler, most of the time I am, or a horse, I like putting those cattle in between me and the dog and just controlling their speed. I videoed this part because here she's these bulls have stopped at this bunk, the pen of cattle that's in there not cleaned up, and so they started eating, and so she's having to jump back and forth and work these bulls off the bunk, which is sometimes a tricky thing, I think, for a young dog to do. And she's handling it pretty good and got it done. And it turned out to be a pretty morning. So here, right after we got past that bunk, we got a little hitch that runs up to our silage pits and our commodity bins, and that's where our feed wagon gets mixed every day. And so what I do is I will slip in that hole to just keep these cattle going straight, and we turned it into a drive. It sometimes is a little tricky when we're going up to these pens. You can see there's a little saddle shed on the left, and then they got a couple wooden gate or plywood gates, plywood over metal gates on the right. And sometimes those cattle tend to ball up right there and not want to walk past a folder and all that. And so I always just jump in there and turn it into a drive the rest of the way with the next 100 feet going into the pens, maybe, yeah. And so this is Sadie. She just turned it into a drive, and we got them penned and sorted and get ready to ship these cattle in the morning. So Sadie's making a nice little ranch hand and coming along real well.